This world is wrong to be.
O.W.P. This is our wrestling podcast. This is Dave along with Jess,
David,
and Craig. Bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. And now on to our topic today, favorite enhancement talent or jobbers. Hit us up on Instagram at O.W.P. 2019. Click on Linktree. You can find us on several platforms, including Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcast. And don't forget, we are now part of the Wrestle Hub family, all about wrestling podcast. Catch them at the Wrestle Hub on YouTube and Instagram. You guys ready to prelim this up?
Let's do it.
I'm excited about that. We got this topic this week. We usually get our topics kind of earlier on in the week, and I was super jazzed about this. We made a joke in our last podcast, and I think this kind of inspired it. But I think this is a part of my childhood, and we're going to explain this. Some people may not understand it. That's fine, you young kids, get off my lawn. But I'm very excited for this topic and to go into why they're important and why they're the legends. I have a question
in the statement. The first question is, what was the joke? I don't remember the joke now.
No, we went through a little riff on our last episode about name prelims.
Oh, and the Yokozuna episode, yeah. And we were talking about Yokozuna murdering prelims, which he did.
Which he absolutely did. But I will say, when it comes to prelim, enhancement talent, mid-carders, whatever you want to call them, and we're going to try to see if they're the same or different here in a second. If you don't care about this, part of wrestling, I don't think you're a real wrestling fan. I really don't. I know some people grew up in different parts of it, but there were enhancement talent. Even now, some of that enhancement talent has moved on off of WWF. It's the people that lose every week. That's who they are.
And if you don't see care, that the lack of prelim / enhancement talent now, if you don't see how it would help the product now, you also don't understand pro wrestling. I will say that out loud.
It's desperate.
Prelims are so enhancement talent and prelims are so important. So let's discuss that, right? Because we always we were talking before we hit record, Craig and I, and we don't know where we got the word prelim from. We were saying the word prelim back in like the early 90s when we would talk about, hey, did you watch The Warrior today? Yeah, he beat some prelim. Like we would say it all the time. I want to say we saw it in like Pro Wrestling Illustrated or The Wrestler, those kind of magazines. And they said, like, they were just talking in an article, Macho Man Randy Savage beat a preliminary wrestler. And then afterwards, Ricky Steamboat came down and challenged him. So it was some wordage that we saw. And we were just like, yeah, prelim. So I'm not saying we invented that term because it was used, industry wide. But today, a lot of people call it enhancement talent because they feel calling those people prelims is disrespectful. It's a term of endearment for me. Like, I don't think that's disrespectful at all. And some people, and we can settle this debate right now for the episode's sake, say that no, there is a difference. Enhancement talent is people like Coco Beware, Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler, people like that. They might accidentally win titles along the way, but they're just mainly there to lose. But they beat prelim wrestlers, so there's a big difference. I don't believe that. I'll turn it over to you guys in a second, but I don't believe that. I think that enhancement talent is just a nicer way of saying prelim, and over the years we've gotten a little soft as a society, and I think a lot of people we all respect
a trophy.
Jess, you can't say that, Jess. So if I use the term prelim, I don't disrespect the industry. We all like wrestling.
No, it's not about that.
Yeah, we like wrestling because the product today is terrible. So we respect wrestling because we still do a podcast to talk about it. So to me, enhancement talent and prelims are the same thing. They're the Farmer Tan guys, or even not the Farmer Tan guys that you saw every Saturday that lost all the time. They never beat the big stars, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think you got to simplify it a little bit, which I believe you're doing, so I agree with you. I believe there are superstars, and then there's everybody else,
right?
And that is kind of where it's
a
at.
Superstar, right? Coco Beware was a superstar. Right?
Yeah, Coco Beware.
He was superstar.
No, I don't think so.
Well, he's a mid card. Do you think he's prelim?
I think Coco Beware. There's the kind of people that have never won a title. But then when people want to argue about Jake the Snake, he's definitely not a mid carder. But I think Jake the Snake could be argued as a mid carder, but he still drew, right? But he wasn't. Those people weren't superstars. It's different. There's superstars and there's everyone else. You can try to divvy it up however you want, and there are some people that were superstars for a time. But you could argue that even Dolph Ziggler wasn't a full time superstar his entire career. The majority of his career has been beneath that. He's been underneath.
And just to clarify, Dave, you're not saying how Vince McMahon refers to all wrestlers as superstars. When you refer to superstars, you're saying that top echelon of guys that get to that level, and everyone else makes them and keeps them in their spot.
You think there's superstars, mid-carders, and prelims. Because you can't lump in prelims with mid-carders because they're two different classifications, in my opinion.
You could do that, but if you look at it in a wrestler's point of view, I don't think they don't see a difference, is what I'm trying to tell you.
There's a big difference between Jake Roberts and I don't want to name a name. I know we're all going to name someone. I don't want to blow it. Well, that's fine. That's a good example. There's a huge difference between Jim Powers and Jake Roberts. So it's not fair that you say they're superstars and everybody else, because what are the superstars? Well, Hogan, Savage at the time.
Then you're going back on your word.
Warrior.
Well, yeah. You could even argue that Jake the Snake is a superstar even if he didn't win a title, because he
I would say he absolutely is.
Yeah. So that's the thing. When you achieve superstar status, there's superstars and there's everybody else. We can argue if Jake the Snake is a superstar or not, and I don't even have to have the argument that he is. That's fine. I totally agree. And he didn't win a title. Some people think titles matter to that. I don't think so, especially not in the rock and wrestling era. But I think there are superstars and there's everyone else, because Coco Beware, he doesn't fall that far from the tree to say a Jim Powers. I know we're going to keep using that, but as an example, right?
And the thing is, I think it's different times. The difference between what people think enhancement talent is, what Jess was saying earlier, like enhancement talent was one step up for prelims, where they fed into people. There's no prelims anymore, or there's no enhancement talent kind of anymore. But back in their day, there might have been these different levels.
And maybe we're confusing maybe that proves my point more, is that enhancement talent is prelims. And Dave is right with the everybody else category. That makes sense to me too.
Yeah.
I mean, if no one understands prelims, that our term growing up, we're going to still use it. And then it became cool to say jobber. I think from Job Squad. I'm not sure when we first heard job or jobber, but that became like a little wink, wink.
Hey, if anybody played Tyson's Punch Out and saw Glass Joe, this is what we're talking about.
Glass Joe's a prelim.
Yeah.
Come on. He was one win, 99 losses. We all know about Glass Joe.
Yeah.
Right?
And we, every Saturday mornings, that's all we had. We had a couple of decent competitive matches every week. When we saw our stars build, when we saw our feuds build in the heyday of the WWF and WCW, kind of NWA, what was the weekend wrestling? It was all to get people to go see the house shows and go pay for the pay-per-views. It was building these guys, and they off the backbone of local guys that became national guys, that were farmer tans, that were every week the same guy getting crushed. This is what we're talking about. And we almost saw these guys more than we did the superstars every week.
And we salute you.
Yes, we do. And my subdivision is there were professional prelims. We're going to name some big fucking heavy hitting prelims right now that are like, these names are fucking
we love them. We love them. They're on our list of creative.
They mean as much to the prelim division as Hulk Hogan meant to everybody else.
Whoa.
Some of these names that we're going to drop on you are fucking legendary prelims. They're professional goddamn prelims.
Go back and check them out. Seriously, do them a justice. You should go buy an autograph.
They're fun, and you can find all their stuff on. Everyone we're mentioning, there's got to be clips on them on YouTube. I found most of them. So Craig, I'm going to hit you up, Craig. Name me a favorite prelim of yours. Who's your first guy?
We're going to start slow. Bear with us, guys. If you're like, I don't understand this, do not turn away. It gets better. And we're going to understand. We're going to build up to the guys who we're going to tell some great stories about. But my goal here was we're talking a lot of WWF guys. And I think this is very regional when we're talking. I grew up on superstars. So a lot of my choices are WWF guys. I wanted to include someone from the other side. And this is a WCW
because it was
guy
very
that I
different,
remember.
right? Like the other side was kind of different. I mean, and well, actually, I should ask you, what time period are you talking about on the other side? Because that is important. Once the Monday Night War started, prelims were different.
Then it wasn't just squash matches. Yes.
I think maybe that's when they graduated to enhancement talent, huh? Like, because like they were featured every week. So go ahead. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you. Go ahead.
Yes. So this guy stood out to me in WCW era as kind of a jobber, but to Jess's point, he had little flashes of not jobber, where he was kind of competitive, and it wasn't just that guy already in the ring. He hands us that, it doesn't wear that jacket. He doesn't get entrance music. He just gets the living shit kicked out of him. But my guy is a guy named Jerry Flynn, and he stood out to me because he has a really, really goofy kind of Bob Holly, almost like kind of face.
Can you see Jerry Flynn, by the way? Is he on the screen?
We can, and that's he's not giving justice to his goofiness right now.
Look at
this
him.
is
Look
a
at
gimmick where he was a karate guy, but he's a guy that when he walked to the ring, he had an intensity, and he really thought he was going to win every single match, and high-fived and was jawing at the fans and everything. But he always stands out as a guy that we laughed at him and we laughed at his face to his face every Monday night, and then we just watched him kind of get destroyed. And then he had a cup of coffee in a heel stable. He I think he had another little bit of a mid-rise, so not a true, but he was a guy, walking down the aisle, first introduced, was going to get his ass kicked, and on the WCW side.
No, and I bring that up because, and I said what I said earlier was, when the Monday Night War started, the industry changed. So they didn't really do the prelims anymore, the already in the ring guys, which is a perfect phrase that you just said, because we say that all the time.
In the ring, the fans.
Yeah, we say that all the time and laugh. So they graduated during the Monday Night Wars. The already in the ring guys kind of went away, and because everything was live every week, and then you had to have I guess this is when prelims maybe matured to enhancement talent. Then you had the enhancement talent guys like him coming out and doing their thing every week, and we kind of knew them. They had music and stuff, but they lost all the time. That's really funny. Actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jerry Flynn, I think he was beat by Goldberg, I think 8 of his 160 times in the very beginning.
Oof. Oh, there's an opening for Flynn. Goldberg missing in the corner.
He's going to have trouble getting 62 here, looks like.
Flynn has had a little more success against him than most.
Kicked him right in the yap.
But
Dave,
God bless you. I hope he's okay.
Who's your guy?
My first pick, and I started going through and researching, and I just laughed because what does wrestling not do if try to rip off anything that's good? I don't know. Rocky's pretty good, right? That was good. That was a good movie. Maybe we should rip that shit off. And I'm talking about the Italian Stallion, a gentleman who's not even Italian, by the way. But he had Italy on the back of his boxers. Look at that. That's a great picture.
He wasn't Italian.
Powering
That's
out
hilarious.
of a William Regal full Nelson. That's
great. It's Regal in the back.
Yeah,
I should have known. I should have known by the gel that it was Regal in the back. The Stallion, also known as Gary, I think it's Sabah, he wrestled in WCW and under Crockett Promotions. He wrestled there for over 20 years, believe it or not. He's also served as an advisor and stunt double on the infamous wrestling sitcom Learning the Ropes, which I just read.
Shut up. No, we did not.
I'm reading the notes here, which is exactly as bad as you could imagine. That's what it says. Even worse, he moved into a training role, opening a wrestling school in the Carolinas, which, by the way, the graduates from his school is R-Truth and the Hardy Boys. How about that?
His opponent from Naples, Italy, at 261 pounds, the Italian Stallion.
The Italian Stallion facing Lord Steven Regal.
How about that?
That's okay. That's a legit.
I remember him a lot. I want to say, I know for sure I remember him on NWA/WCW a ton.
Yes. Did a lot of Crockett work, yeah.
For some odd reason, I don't know why I think that he was in WWF too. Maybe he was. They would trade a lot of enhancement talent.
Yeah, I think they would bounce it back and forth. We probably saw him out there.
Yeah.
Makes sense. What do you got, Jess? What do you got, buddy?
Okay. My picture's going to be small. But So this guy here, he was actually involved in Demolition's. First of all, he was involved. He was often used, but he was involved in Demolition's first ever kind of feud when Demolition first debuted. They, I don't think they debuted against this guy, but they debuted against somebody that you've all heard before, and his name is Brady Boone in this midget picture I'm showing right now. And Brady Boone actually went on to become Battle Cat. For those people who remember that failed gimmick in 1991.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
He was the first guy under the Battle Cat gimmick. And so I remember him a lot on Saturday Morning Wrestling and Wrestling Challenge, Superstars Wrestling Challenge. But he was part of Demolition's first feud. So Demolition first debuted, and they needed their first feud. So they feuded with Ken Patera and Billy Jack Haynes. So Brady Boone was from Portland, Oregon, and so was Billy Jack Haynes, which they never made the correlation. But Demolition fought Brady Boone and another prelim guy, beat him down, and then kept attacking Brady Boone afterwards. And out come Billy Jack Haynes and Ken Patera to stop Demolition and kind of start a feud with them. And the whole thing they said was like, what made you guys come out? And Billy Jack Haynes was like, Brady Boone's my cousin. So because they just made that correlation, Brady Boone never actually got the revenge on Demolition. It was Ken Patera and Billy Jack Haynes, but they used Brady Boone to boost that feud. And that was it for Brady Boone. He went back to losing every week. So
I think they're going to retire Billy Jack Haynes' cousin here.
Now, this is ridiculous. They won the match. Look at this. They go for a third one.
Brady Boone just pummeled.
Every week. So yeah, I had to pick him because I remember him wrestling every single week, and he would lose all the time, but he would get some offensive moves in here and there, and he was late 80s, early 90s for sure in WWF, and then he put the Battle Cat costume on, and then he left, and somebody else took the Battle Cat character over. Not that that's relevant because that character was awful. But that's my story of Brady Boone. I really, I remember him for some odd reason.
I have fond memories of Brady Boone. Was every single week on Superstars. You would see him, and look behind. He has a decent body behind you. Like, you're gonna see the story of some of these guys. Like, why didn't they make it? Like, did they just kind of get stuck in their position? They worked hard. They had good bodies. They weren't necessarily these farmer tan like beer belly guys that just got destroyed. He looks like he could be a legit guy.
They don't have it, Craig. They don't have it. Whatever it is.
So that was the first round. Craig, who's your second guy? Do you have a second?
So now, so we had a little taste. We got our whistles there, and now it's time to talk about the godfather of preliminary wrestlers. And he's a guy, and he's actually, Dave, he's looking right behind him. He was fortunate at one point to actually have Bobby Heenan as a manager. So what is he? Well, how can he be a prelim or a jobber if he had Bobby Heenan as a manager? And I think this was the gift that the company kind of gave him, and had the peak and apex of his kind of career. But he was a guy that was with the company for decades. And he was a guy that was trusted enough to be put in there with the greenest of the green to make them look good on Saturdays. Like, it wasn't just a local guy that was paid to just take a devastating finisher and get his butt beat. He was also
on the
guy
road with them every week
to carry guys who were green and monsters to build them. And that is Steve Lombardi, Brooklyn Brawler, Abe Knuckleball Shorts, Kim Chi, and the Red Knight, and occasionally
look at that picture.
Joint the Clown.
He's so fucking confident. Look at his face.
He's got better pictures than you, by the way.
Business being that confident.
We were talking about before. He's a professional prelim. How is he not? He is a professional fucking prelim / and he was a promo coach after he stopped wrestling in the ring. He was a promo coach for guys too. Like, he was a big part of backstage for a long time. How many years did you say, Craig?
I think I read somewhere it was 30 years with the company.
It's
17,
30
at least 17 wrestling as a prelim. 17. 83 to 2000 he was in ring.
And that was one of the few well-known feuds where they tried to get Red Rooster over, was to use the Brooklyn Brawler to do that. So again, you can argue about,
and he was Brooklyn Brawler after Steve Lombardi, but I remember him late 80s and as Steve Lombardi, and then he became the Brooklyn Brawler to feud with the Rooster, and Heenan managed him for a while. So he was Steve Lombardi to me first, for sure.
Yes. And he
What is from the top rope? That is a new move I've ever seen out of the Brooklyn Brawler, the former Steve Lombardi.
Bobby Heenan, big smile on his face.
Here is your winner, the Brooklyn Brawler.
Look at that, McMahon.
Yes. And he was also, like, when he was Brooklyn Brawler, he also got 10 minutes at house shows to almost kick off the card. So that guy had to put on a decent match on a house show, not just 5 minutes on
wrestled
television.
Everybody that they were testing. When Owen Hart was the Blue Blazer, I remember they toured together. Steve Lombardi and the Blue Blazer. And then everybody else too that like he got in there with. Steve Lombardi was the barometer for everybody.
Yes,
that got in there.
Well said. Get these guys over.
They
let
were
me know
testing
what you
Paul
think
Roma
of them in the
out.
ring.
I remember there was a house show loop where Paul Roma took on the Brooklyn Brawler or Steve Lombardi at the time.
Yeah,
in the opening match of every house show. Like they were just working things out, getting good at what they do.
Yeah, we love you, Steve. Seriously.
The Brawler can take care of everyone.
It sounded like a joke, but that's a goddamn Hall of Fame Hulk Hogan-esque to the enhancement talent. He's a heavy hitter, man, when it comes to prelim wrestlers.
He's a goddamn American icon.
He's a goddamn American professional.
In the words of Kurt Russell in Backdraft, that's my brother, god damn it.
So Craig, that was number 2. Craig had some pretty solid choices.
You're coming out swinging, buddy.
But Dave, the Italian sound was not bad. Dave, give me a second one. Redeem yourself. God damn it. Even though I do like the Italian sound.
Redeem yourself.
Because Craig's 2 in a row right now.
I got one for you, and I'll try to bring in the younger kids a little bit real quick with when we go. Gilbert. We're talking about Dwayne Gill. Obviously, most people recognize him as Gilbert, but he was a jobber for several years.
Yes.
Before that, look at that picture. That's just phenomenal, right?
That's the height of his popularity, by the way.
That was the peak of his career. He was
it was the peak, but there was something that came close. He actually was, working with the Attitude Era as the Job Squad. Actually won the WWE Light Heavyweight title from Christian.
I remember that.
Not many people were happy about that. And then he evolved into that ridiculous parody act of Gilbert, where his entrances were longer than his matches that he never won. And
he was really an unsung hero of the prelim area back then, because I remember him all the time.
He just took it and owned it, though. But
when he became Gilbert, it was their shot to make fun of Goldberg, and like that was like his biggest moment, man.
Yeah, good for him. I would have done it.
To Jess's point, like I think I love this episode, and I love telling the tales of these guys, because I've said it a million times on this podcast, I love underdogs. So the way that Dwayne Gill started, and I believe I can see him like a singlet and full mullet and that mustache and beard, and he was there every Sunday, and he was always skinny, always undersized. To see him then get some notoriety a little bit later on, and with Gilbert, he must have just truly enjoyed that moment. Like, kudos to him. But Dwayne Gill before that was just a guy that got killed on set, but did an amazing job each and every week, making guys better, being the enhancement talent, I guess, that he is. So it's a good choice.
Yep. Very good. All right, so I got to try to
top that, Jess. I don't know.
All right. Let's see. I would say I'm torn. I'm gonna have to go with a lot. People may not know these people, and I think it's ridiculous because like we would actually call each other this when we were younger.
Oh my god!
When we would do something that was not good, we would call them. We'd be like, "Yeah, whatever, Mulk." And it's because we're referring to the Mulkey brothers, which people may not recognize these guys. They were famous because they were a tag team in the NWA, in the Crockett promotion, and probably in other areas too. But they never
look at those
won.
Stupid thumbs up and finger pointing.
And look at those soft bodies; they're ridiculous. Like there's no how are they pro wrestlers? But like,
didn't we all have blazers like that too when we wrestled?
All prelims had to have this. Well, Arn Anderson wore it forever, but for the most part, like prelims wore this, and
he's the exception to the rule. God damn it!
He is. I didn't mean to offend you right there.
So they never won, and it was a thing, and they built on it and built on it. And 1 week, they actually won a match against another relatively prelimish team, and they ran around the ring and acted like they won like the world titles, and it was the best thing ever. And Crockett took a shot at Hulk Hogan back here because they called it Mulkey Mania, and they milked it, and they never won again. By the way, the next week they went right back to losing. But their big thing that they would always cling on was, we're winners, we won a match.
Monkey up. Take him now. Wait, just over him.
match. And I always will remember the Mulkey brothers because like we would all call each other growing up. Well, yeah, whatever Mulk. Joe, Derek, and I would always and call each other that, especially Joe, would be like, whatever, Mulkey, like, and we would say all the time.
Yeah.
So I have to bring them into the conversation because, like, I remember these guys, like, and it's just really funny. And good.
Fantastic choice, Jess. And then you just reminded me, not only was in our lexicon, and I'm going to do a spoiler alert and go into our history here, we were also drama nerds. And so we did a bunch of drama and plays together, and we had a little ritual before each and every show, as some kind of drama people usually do. And it involved chanting. I'm not going to give the whole thing away because it's very secret, but it involved chanting and kind of being together and spitting. And then part of the chant was Mulkey Prelim, Mulkey Prelim, Mulkey Prelim, Mulkey Prelim, that we would say 5 times as part of the chant. And we did that through our formative years, every high school show.
I don't know how I forgot about that, but I totally, That's
phenomenal.
I totally forgot about that shit. Wow. That just took me back right now. Holy shit.
Mulkey Prelim, Mulkey Prelim.
So right before y'all went on
Mulkey Prelim, Polish sausage. We would always end with Polish sausage. Fuck, man. Wow.
I didn't know that. I did not remember that.
Yeah.
Whoa. Holy smokes.
Wow, shit.
Thank you, Mulkeys. So much out.
Well, that's it. We just need to stop here.
Yeah. Craig, go ahead. Give me your third choice. We'll do 3 choices total. Craig,
third choice.
Your final choice. This has to be your home run.
This is not fair because I was asked first. And so I believe that this would have been, this is the draft. I think this is the number 1 draft pick of most people. And this is a testament. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, if anything beats Steve Lombardi, this might do it. And I don't want to give away that I know who you're going to pick, but I'm doing production for this episode, which is probably obvious. So, I would say if anybody tops Steve Lombardi, this might be it.
Because he's a guy that he got himself over even as a prelim, which is very, very hard to do. He's a guy that, like, you turn your head when you watched him. You stared at, like, because he was very impressive, very tanned. He had a black, like, forearm elbow band. And he had, no matter what you were doing on your time on Saturday mornings, every single move you would just hear like grunting from this guy from the TV every single move or chop or punch when he tried to do. I'm talking to Iron Mike Sharp. And once you see his picture, it will bring back memories of your childhood. He was the guy in the ring, big, tall, impressive looking.
Just
but
like
he was
Steve
known...
Lombardi, by the way, look at how proud his fucking face is. Like he was and he did not he has one of his arms taped and the other one is where that black cover went on. And apparently somebody caught him off guard here and they're like, just take a picture. He's like, fuck, I don't have my black thing, but whatever. Like, and he took it anyway. Because he purposely didn't tape his right arm here because he wore that black brace.
He seriously looks like the guys on Family Guy that are like the in shape, out of shape guys.
He's got to be the holy grail of prelim wrestlers. He's got to be.
He's not letting you in that he's going to lose. He thinks he's badass. He thinks he's a A-level champion. But it's obvious when you see him move and when you hear him go,
and don't forget, he's also got great hair, which is a plus.
Fantastic hair. And is Mike Sharp the guy that was known as a germaphobe from people's books in the bathroom?
I was going to bring that up. Yes, he was a germaphobe. Hulk Hogan wrote about it in his book, and other people have talked about it. He would go in the back after matches, and he would shower endlessly. Like, he would be the last wrestler out of the locker room until the janitors kicked him out. He would go and shower, and he'd bring his own bars of soap, and he would scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub, like, all the time. He was a legit germaphobe. And so he would have to scrub himself ceremoniously with a certain different bars of soap every time. So he would use a bar of soap, lather himself down, wash himself off, get a new bar of soap, will lather himself down with that, put that down, wash himself off, get another bar of soap, and do it, and he would do it over and over again. Hulk Hogan, I want to say there was a chapter on Iron Mike Sharp in his book about how he was compulsive like that. It's insane. It's great. It's the best story.
That's sad. Like, and the profession that he chose was locking up and sharing
Touching
blood,
men.
sweat, and spit with other men for 20 minutes at a time.
Some tears, possible.
That's right, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah,
maybe some.
It could be there.
Thank you, Iron Mike Sharp. God bless you.
Yeah,
I don't know, Dave. Do you have somebody that can even top this, or are we? Fucking
do you have a third?
You know what? I think you will never agree with me, but I think my guy tops anything you are going to bring to the table. But that's all right.
Calm down.
Cool. Hey, I will not calm down. Because Jim Powers, if he didn't calm down,
You know
he would
what?
have won a lot more matches. By the way,
Did you say Jim Powers?
Jim Powers, baby. That's my guy. Jim Powers is a beast.
Pick.
Look at this guy. Look
His
at
nipples
the chunk
like his nipples look strong here. I don't know.
Look
why.
at the chunkability. I mean, look at the body. Look at the hair. Look at the ability. When Jim Powers got the chance to actually walk down to the ring with music, the crowd went nuts. Here's what's interesting about Jim Powers. Did he lose most of the time? Absolutely, which brings him into that enhancement talent category. But Jim Powers always got a lick in. Jim Powers was always able to entertain the fans. And I'm telling you, this is what's weird, because there were times on Saturday Morning Wrestling where I would see a prelim in the ring and I would see Jim Powers getting called down to the ring. I'm like, Jim Powers is going to win today. And
Jim Powers!
Nice ovation for Jimmy Powers. He'll have his work cut out for him here against the Warlord.
And I got really excited about it. And I can't explain that, but there's something about somebody like Jim Powers, like, why can't they just give him one? Why can't Jim Powers just get one? But here's what's interesting about it. I looked up some stats about Jim Powers' win-loss record, and you know what? This
Dave's
is
committed right now to pushing this over the top. I love it.
Jim Powers won 22% of his matches, which is a lot more than I thought he would actually have won.
That's a high-ranking prelim.
That's bullshit.
I have it. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link. Right?
You know
That's
what, though?
I
I guess
here.
career all time before you get on television, right? Maybe
they're tapings. Yeah, they're tapings, and they're probably trying to push him. See who hey, go out there with
that's a career record of Jim Powers' career record.
Yeah, non pay per view record. Pay per view, he won 2 matches and lost 4 matches on pay per view.
Okay, so the pay per view stats are taken out of there. Okay,
correct. Yeah, because he only wrestled 6 pay per views in his entire career. But yeah, exactly. So I find that fascinating that he won a lot, almost 25% of his matches, which that would normally be the case for.
Well, and I want to
Just
say
explain
something really quick too. When I was doing research for this, you can actually go on Wikipedia and they actually list all the big name prelims in alphabetical order at one page. I don't remember. And on it was the Young Stallions. And I was like, I kind of disagree with that, because when they were brought in, they actually did win matches, and they were one of the surviving teams at the first ever Survivor Series tag team matches in '87. So Young Stallions, I don't view them as prelims per se. I guess they were, because they lost all the big matches, but they wouldn't, like on house shows, they would defeat other teams, like, mishmash teams, like I can't even think of someone off the top of my head, but they were featured for a while. But then when they broke off, obviously, yes, Jim Powers became more of a prelim enhancement talent. But so the 22% doesn't necessarily surprise me, but I'm wondering if they include the Young Stallions in that.
That's a good question.
Yeah. And this is very important, because I'm about to throw some controversy in here. If you have entrance music, if the Young Stallions had entrance music, right? If you have entrance music, are you a prelim?
You can still be.
Okay.
I would say.
It's
okay. I mean, after a certain point, you're absolutely right. It depends on the time period, right? But it's like on
I love
early
their theme
'90s
music,
superstars. You loved what?
Their theme music. I loved the Young Stallions theme music.
Is it Girls and Cars?
No, Girls and Cars was Strike Force.
That's right.
But
Sorry.
it was.
Don't worry, just
it was somebody else. I don't remember the name of it, but Jimmy Hart sang it. I'm pretty sure.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It was on. Was it someone else's music?
It was like, rip it up, pull it out.
Yes. Oh my God. That's what it was.
I'm sure I got the words wrong, but it was something that was the tune of it.
Off the same. Yes.
And I want to say Jimmy Hart sang the tune, but they didn't telegraph it.
It's either tear it up, rip it up.
Yeah, tear it up,
wrap it up.
Pull me out.
Okay.
I have no idea what that means.
Someone stall. I'm gonna Google. I just want to say about Jim Powers. Jim Powers had an amazing body.
Yeah. Is this we were cruising the street looking for some action?
Yeah.
Yes. Looking for some action.
Had the radio playing on my rock and roll station. So 3 hot ladies down my
yes. Here comes the chorus.
And there is no doubt that is Jimmy Hart. That is no doubt.
Awesome.
What a genius. He's
love it.
Gosh darn talented, Jimmy Hart.
And I just want to say that I remembered all those lyrics offhand, by the way. They were in the memory. I was ahead of the lyrics.
Right in the noggin. Right in the noggin.
I had to say
right
we were cruising the streets, and once I heard we were cruising the streets, I was like, we're obviously looking for some action at that point.
Yeah, that's
we're gonna have a radio playing with our favorite rock and roll tune.
They try to put those.
Good job, Dave. Good job, Jim Powers. You are the captain.
Shit.
All right,
Jess. I am the captain now.
I'm totally gonna take a cheap shot, and I'm fine with it.
Whoa.
No one can say that this was their favorite prelim until after they watched a popular documentary, and then after that, he won our fucking hearts over.
No, you can't pull this card.
I would say the Iron Mike Sharps of the world, the Steve Lombardis, the Jim Powers, even, are ranked above this guy for sure. But he became our favorite prelim, and he has since passed on. But I want to tell you right now,
was he booked?
He's motherfucking booked in heaven. I guarantee that shit.
Oh shit!
His name is Dennis Stamp.
Look at that! Oh, it's a great picture.
Dennis Stamp was the prelim enhancement
from
talent
Amarillo, Texas. Dennis Stamp.
Yes, he was a prelim in the AWA. He was a prelim in NWA territories, which included the Texas area. He is famous for being I'm not booked in the.
That's a mullet perm.
Beyond the Mat documentary on the Terry Funk series, he ended up reffing. I want you to referee me and Brett. It's my last match.
It's my last match, which it's not.
If you haven't checked that out, I'm sure I'm going to put some footage of him on the trampoline. Is funny and sad all at the same time in the documentary. He is.
You gotta stay in shape. Jess, you gotta stay in shape, my friend.
I'm willingly going to say right now, like, it's not fair to say that he's the greatest prelim. He became the greatest prelim ever because of his fame from the documentary. But the Iron Mike Sharps, the Jim Powerses, the Steve Lombardis, those are really like the holy grails of prelims. But Dennis Stamp, I took a cheap shot because your guys' picks were way better than mine. So I had to come in with something strong, and everybody knows Dennis Stamp. And also,
I love me some Dennis Stamp.
What'd you say?
I love me some Dennis Stamp.
Craig talked about this too. Type in on YouTube Dennis Stamp Titantron, and you will fucking laugh for hours. And they have a loop where they loop it for an hour. Holy shit! Like, it's the funniest thing ever. Dennis Stamp, rest in peace. I love the
amazing.
Guy.
He makes Beyond the Mat. He's such a highlight. He is the perfect example of a guy that doesn't know it's over and a guy that believes his own gimmick. Like where Bret Hart was the guy that believed his own bullshit and believed his own gimmick too much. Dennis Stamping at that level believed and still thought like the importance of himself, which I think you have to have that some kind of confidence to make it in the wrestling business, even just to step in the ring for the first time. But like, just kudos to all these guys, by the way. Like we're having a good laugh and we're having a rib, but God bless Dennis Stamp to allow himself to be filled and what the story that he tells in Beyond the Mat.
I cannot stress the importance of prelim / enhancement talent. I cannot stress how when they revamped Raw a couple years ago, they tried to bring him back for a while and they gave up on it. It's not all about quarter ratings, right? It doesn't have to be anymore. The Monday Night War is done. So you don't have to be, if your hourly rating dips because you put a prelim on, the prelim is there to further the enhancement of the star you're trying to build. It's so important. I remember everything. And it was because I was young, but I think even if I was older, I remember prelim wrestlers because you got to see a wrestler that may never beat the superstars, like Coco Beware, like mid-card wrestlers like that. But they would beat the prelim, so you would see their moveset. I knew Coco Beware did a dropkick, amazing dropkick from the top rope. I knew Coco Beware did an awesome brainbuster. You would never have seen that without these enhancement talent guys, the Brady Boones, the fucking Steve Lombardis, that Coco did those moves to lose to the Warlord and the Boss Man and all those other guys. But it's what the prelim was like the third tier of wrestler. Dave talked about it earlier. You have the superstars, and in my opinion, you have the mid-carders right after that. And then you have this prelim / enhancement talent that helped the mid, because when I watched a mid-carder wrestle, I knew he wasn't going to beat Macho Man or Hogan or the Warrior or whatever. But when you have the mid-card guys like Coco Beware, I just keep going back to him because to me he's the most famous mid-carder for the most part. When you have him beat the other guys I just talked about, the Iron Mike Sharps, all those guys, you still thought maybe he can beat Rick Rude. No, just kidding, you can't. But you thought for a second. And that's the importance of prelims and enhancement talents. And so I miss these guys. These guys are important. They should be around today, and they're not because wrestling's so quarter hour this and that, and it doesn't have to be that way. These guys are missed. We were talking about some heavy hitters. I said Iron Mike Sharp. Are you joking? Steve Lombardi, are you joking? Jim Powers, are you joking? Like those guys are. They're the Hulk Hogan prelims, man. Like they're the best, and we need them and miss them.
If the world slowed down like it was back here, because they bought the time on Saturday mornings, it was to sell. More necessarily when WWE became national, became bigger than that. You're selling them on a national level. But a lot of these guys buying TV time, it was to sell the local events. It was to sell these storylines regionally. And you could, to Jess's point, you didn't give a shit about quarter hours. You didn't need to go. Right. You could build and slow build, because Saturday morning it was cartoons and wrestling and car commercials and crap and old Three Stooges episodes. Monster Trucks.
Don't forget the Little Rascals.
Little Rascals, all this stuff.
Don't forget, in my market, Soul Train was on before.
My childhood is flooding back, and I hope everyone listening to this, their childhood is flooding back. Slow down. It wasn't about who gives a crap if it didn't rate that 5.3. You enjoyed it and you laughed, and then you went to Sean Mooney in the event center, and then you watched.
I don't care how pushed he is, if he's Universal Champion or whatever. I need to see Braun Strowman assault someone on my television.
Yes.
For 2 minutes or 3 minutes to just remind me that he's a monster. I need that. You need that. Everybody needs that. The product needs that, and Braun Strowman's character needs that. And it's just such a missing part of wrestling that has gone away, and nobody really thought. It's like The Manager. It's a lost art, right? Manager.
I miss it. This is making me super nostalgic.
Or Valet, at that point. So are you talking about this Dennis Stamp Titantron?
Yes.
Oh God!
And the visual of this is him jumping on a trampoline, interspersed with him kind of walking with buckets towards his truck on a gravel road.
But there's another one, Dave, that actually has the audio from him. Like it's that same song, but like in the middle, the song pauses and it goes, "I'm not booked." Down, 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 down. And it's fucking great. It's great.
Oh, that's so good.
Well, I mean, there was no really like firm rules to this episode, so I hope it came off right. I hope everybody enjoyed it. But this
it did. Everyone did. They told me.
I did, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, right. Fuck everybody else.
I don't give a shit.
Someone needs to create a music video compilation of Sarah McLachlan, "I Will Remember You," with prelims getting destroyed for 4 minutes. Make it happen, America and internet. Thank you. Sorry, Jess, I interrupted you.
That's good stuff.
That's fine.
No. Hit us up on Instagram at O.W.P 2019. Click on Linktree. You can find us on several platforms, including Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. But don't forget, we are now part of the Wrestle Hub family, all about wrestling podcast.
I guess, even though they don't do shit for us. But go on.
Oh, I know. We're going to take that down. At the Wrestle Hub on YouTube and Instagram. Your days are numbered, Wrestle Hub, you pricks.
Shots fired, Wrestle Hub.
You fucks. Do something. Advertise.
I'm going to say it every week. Your days are numbered, Wrestle Hub, you pricks.
This is what you want to be. Say it with life.